Lovely. Finally. Now we're live. I am so happy to be live. It was a lot of pressing buttons and sweeping on the screen and slight panicky almost feel from the technician in the room. So I'm happy that we are live. Welcome to Yogaground and this Tuesday evening late evening flex class. Normally I'm not teaching this late, but I am happy to be here and sort of maybe put you a bit to sleep, kind of. Or at least into some kind of like nice relaxed mode so that you can just lay in the sofa and just relax afterwards. But right now, 45-minute flex. My name is Camilla. I hope and think a lot of you already know that by now. I am happy to be here again teaching for you this evening. So we wanted just to say that if you want some music in the background while you are practicing, Yogaground now has a few public playlists on Spotify. So there's one called the Flex that you can use. For those of you who are following me on Spotify, you also have my Yin playlists there. So if you want music, go and get something nice on so you can chill even more. Also, thank you so much, all of you, for the donations that you are doing to Yogaground. It is awesome, and we are so grateful for this. You have no clue how much it means for us, but thank you so much for all of your support to keep us on this online studio. We hope that we soon get to be with you also in real life. Okay, let's do this. Today for the flex, you don't need to have any prop. Kind of just your yoga mat. And as always, when we're practicing flex, make sure that you are warm enough in what you're wearing. So if you want to have a long sleeve, maybe have a long sleeve or next to you, and also maybe socks in case that is something that you feel that you often get cold on your feet. Basically, that's it. First pose, we are actually beginning to stand, just to kind of like get into it all. So we're not going to do much crazy stuff standing, but I'm guessing a lot of you have been kind of in front of a computer today, so we're just going to do a few of these neck rolls, or rather half neck rolls. So stand with your feet a bit nicely apart and allow the head to just kind of drop down towards the chest and move your chin up to one shoulder and the other. You can even allow a bit of more movement in your shoulders if that feels like a nice little option. Just kind of softening in the neck region. Today's flex class is going to be about the neck, about the shoulders, about that space between the shoulder blades, and also some of the lower back. Maybe it feels nice before we get into the first proper hold to even allow the head a few nodding up and down. As always, staying away from pain, so don't go too far. And then also just allow the head to turn from side to side. Maybe you notice that one side feels easier than the other. Maybe there's no obvious difference. Do one more on each side. And then come to a stop. And come to be down on the mat. So our first pose is going to be seated on the butt. Making sure that I have my little timer close by. Take a cross-legged seated position. So as always, of course, if you want extra padding or such underneath the butt, make sure to use a blanket or a cushion if you want that, but no need. So cross-legged seated position, arms out in front, and finding your eagle arms. Either you have long enough arms and wrap them around palms together, or hook the fingers towards each other. Draw the elbows down towards your belly button.
And really try to round that space between the shoulder blades. So you don't need to fold forward so much yet. Just try to get into that space between the shoulder blades. If it feels nice, you can even allow the head to tilt to one side for a few rounds of breath. Maybe even over to the other side. And then releasing for the head and having the head in sort of neutral. The elbows draw down towards the belly button and focus between that space that you're creating between the shoulder blades. It should not cause pain in your shoulder joints, either of them. And today I have a challenge to you. My quote is actually coming from a colleague of mine several years ago. This was when I was working as a nurse in Sweden. And my colleague, I'm not sure how we came to talk about it, but she concluded that the challenge for us all is to keep our head where we have our body. To keep the head where you have your body. You have one last minute in this first longer hold. Maybe you want to allow your upper body to move a bit further forward. Maybe not. Keeping your head where you have your body. On one hand, we can think that, duh, it's obvious that we have the head where we have the body. But imagine if the head was not attached to the body. How many times, for how long periods would the two actually be in the same place? Inhale and release the arms. Bring your upper body up. Maybe lean back and straighten your legs for a bit. We are heading straight into it on the second side. So with a weird leg in front, find a cross-legged seated position again. And join the other arm underneath or on top, however you want to see it. Draw the elbows down towards the belly button and begin to draw the attention towards the space between the shoulder blades. Maybe for the first part of the hold, you want to tilt the head. Maybe in both directions. And then slowly softening the hold for the neck and simply staying in the pose with the challenge of keeping your head where you have your body. Maybe your thoughts are wandering off to weird images of headless bodies or heads being out on their own little missions during the day. Or maybe it's just my weird imagination. But this notion of or the notion of our head actually not being really where our body is. In our thoughts, we are so often somewhere else. We are planning for tomorrow. We are reliving yesterday. And so much time are spent where the head is kind of disconnected from what's going on inside in the body. The breath is always this nice thing to connect our attention to follow. Use your breath to come out of the pose, releasing for the arms, bringing your upper body up and stretching your legs out in front. I hope you're still awake. The next pose, making sure that you're not falling asleep, we'll be doing on the knees. So come to kneeling, and I'm having a bit of luxury today because I actually have 2 mats. So if you're a bit sore on your knees, make sure to maybe double fold the mat underneath the knees. The hands will go into the lower back, just like as if you had pockets on your tights. So hands in the lower back, hips above your knees. And I want you to focus on lifting the front side of your body. Really push your hands into your lower back. Lift the chest, or even begin with lift the belly, and lift the chest, lift the chin, and lift the gaze. Hold your hands in your lower back. We're not going to stay crazy long in this pose. When we do it Yin style, it's quite intense often, half camel. Few more rounds of breath. Taking 2 more. Really feel the stretch in the front side of the body, and with your exhale, coming into child's pose. Sinking your butt down towards your heels. Maybe you rest your forehead either down on the mat or rest the forehead like I do right now on fists. And bring your attention towards your lower back. That was the space that was being compressed in the pose just before, in the back bend. Use your breath to kind of neutralize that area. Take 1 more breath in child's pose. Softening. And the next pose that we're going to do is a twist or a rotation for the upper body. So we're going to begin on hands and knees, and going to draw the right arm, or I will begin with the right arm first. Maybe I should move actually my little timer over to the side so I see. So the right arm draws over towards the side, or rather underneath your other arm, so that the right shoulder in my case is into the floor. My gaze is in that same direction as the hand. I'm just beginning in this first part of the hold.
If this feels already too much in your back, in your spine, or maybe in your shoulder, allow your butt to move a bit closer down towards your heels, maybe all the way down. A few options. And find support with the other hand to hold your upper body properly into position. So the notion of keeping the head where you have the body, to listen, to hear, to notice what is going on inside the body. Way too often we are quite bad listeners. Our body is constantly talking to us, telling us what it needs, but we are very good at ignoring. To push through, to continue. Giving it orders that might not make much sense. We're halfway through the hold, and maybe you want to stay in the pose where you are. Or you can draw the arm even a bit more out to the side. The other arm can be there to push your upper body a bit more into the rotation. And or you can also feel that you begin to lift the opposite knee off the floor. So in my case, I'm on my right shoulder, and that would mean that it's the left knee that lifts a bit off the floor. It's all there to kind of create more compression, more weight on the bottom shoulder. The other hand I'm using for kind of security, safety, to kind of keep me in position. You can keep the knee just lifted off the floor, or if you want to, you can even move the foot closer towards your hand. But just lifting the knee is kind of giving a good addition to this pose. We're looking for that rotation in the upper body. To listen to what your body is telling you. Is this okay? Is it painful? If it's painful, then modify. Taking 5 more rounds of breath. Once your 5 are completed, coming slowly, gently out of the pose, you can take a child's pose as your rebound, or like I'm going to do, I'm going to be down on my belly. When you're down on your belly, if it feels nice, you can just allow your hips to move a bit from side to side. If you're down on your belly, or if you're in child's pose, see if you can notice how the belly is just pressing against either the thighs or the mat as you breathe. Take 3 more rounds of breath here. I'm going to share one of my favorite quotes about listening to the body when we are in the second side. Little cliffhanger. Okay, so coming into the pose on the second side. Second side meaning then to draw the other arm underneath. The shoulder comes into the floor. And make sure to find what feels like a good, proper rotation We're beginning soft and gentle. As always, as often as it works for you to close your eyes when you practice, allow your eyes to close. Can you begin to feel the rotation in your upper body? Maybe the arm needs to pull a tiny bit further out to the side. Maybe you already rotate your head a bit more to feel the twist. Remember the softer options as well. So there's this account on Instagram. I think it's called Whiteboard Lessons. I've used his quotes a lot of the times in my classes, and he has this one particular that comes back, where it says something along the line with the human body is amazing. Sadly, sometimes the operator, sorry for this word, is an asshole. Love it and it will love you back. And meaning us, we are the operators. We are the operators of our own body. And we are the ones that are not always so good. So good at listening, so good at doing what the body needs. So you decide what you need now that you are entering the second half of the hold. Maybe you need to stay just where you are. Maybe you need to deepen, or maybe you need to soften. I think I'm kind of good where I am. I feel that this shoulder was a bit more creating sensations than the other side. The human body is amazing. Anyone who's ever been in my class, I think I've kind of hammered that message into all of you. The human body is amazing. And it knows what it needs. Just that we are so crappy sometimes at listening. We give it orders that make absolutely no sense. And then we are surprised that the body kind of protests, or that it's beginning to ache. Our bodies are designed for movement, and yet so many of us are sitting still 8 hours plus per day. We have this huge range of motion in a lot of our joints, and so seldomly are we using it. And then we are surprised when we begin to get stiff in the shoulders, in the hips, in the knees. It's just kind of supposed to work. We get annoyed when it doesn't. The human body is amazing. Come out of the pose. Take a child's pose. Come down on the belly. Whatever feels like a good option. Notice the sensation in the shoulder that you just spent a few minutes compressing with part of your body weight on it. Take one big deep inhale through your nose. Open the mouth. I hope I'm not like speaking too loud in the microphone today. Maybe you're hearing me breathing all the way down noisily. Well, you can adjust the volume. Next pose, again, back on your knees. Second round of half camel. So again, set yourself up hands into the lower back. Remember those back pockets. Keep your hips above your knees and see if you can this time begin to feel the sensation even in the front part of your legs, in your thighs. Lift the thighs, lift the lower part of the belly, lift the chest. Try to lift the top part of your chest up towards the ceiling. Lift the chin, lift the gaze. Taking 5 more rounds of breath. Some of you might feel comfortable to lean the head back. Preferably for me, I don't. And once your 5 rounds of breath are completed, as you exhale, come into child's pose. Maybe it even feels nice in your child's pose to kind of create a bit of movement. Allow the focus to be kind of the lower back. And you can kind of just like pull the arms forward, creating a bit of movement for that area. You can even walk your hands over to one side and just stretch that side body of yours. Then walking yourself over towards the other side. Good stuff. Oh, this was a nice side. Can we stay here a bit longer? Yeah, it's true. I can stay here long, but maybe I should do that when I come home. Because we have a lovely, in my opinion, shoulder pose to go. Okay, so usually when I teach this one in class, I instruct it down from the belly, but I've started now to actually come to sit a bit like the statue in Copenhagen, the little Havefru, the little mermaid, to kind of sit on the hip. So sitting this way, and what we're going to work on is one shoulder joint at a time. So the arm reaches out to the side, and then you can place your hand to support your head if it feels like a nice option. If you prefer to bend the arm in a 90 degree angle or similar, that's also perfectly fine. For me, it's still nicest to have the arm straight out to the side. I also begin with my knees sort of together in front of my chest. If this feels too much, you can kind of like just more bring your upper body a bit closer towards the mat. This is also a nice beginning of the hold. Just beginning to get into that sensation in the shoulder joint. Again, we're looking for sensations, but not sensational. Discomfort is fine. Pain is to be avoided. The shoulder joint is the joint that we have the biggest range of motion in, but a lot of us are not really using the range of motion. So we begin to lose the range of motion. A lot of us are not creating particularly much movement in the shoulders during the day or even during the weeks. So they get stiffer and stiffer. So allow it to be weird. Notice how it feels. Maybe you're good where you are. If you want to play with variations on creating more sensation without going crazy, the other hand can be into the floor and you're kind of moving the top shoulder a bit more up. I also like to play with the top leg and kind of lift the knee up towards the ceiling and bring my foot into the floor. Sometimes even bringing that bottom foot up into towards the bent knee as a little kickstand kind of a feel. Allow yourself to explore. This is kind of the good part about having home practice, that you don't have to be so concerned with how you might be looking. You can allow yourself to explore, to be creative, to listen to your body and notice what it's saying to you. This pose, we want to create a bit of discomfort in the shoulder joint, but we don't want to go crazy. I think the hospitals are having enough to do right now, so they don't need to handle like dislocated shoulder joints as well, especially not just from a yoga practice. That seems like a waste of medical expertise right now. So please be careful. Notice the sensation. Maybe you even want to use that top arm and kind of draw it towards your hip, towards the buttock, more or less. It's, for me, it's feeling like my shoulder blades are almost being compressed towards each other. Sounds weird, but it is actually rather nice. The body is constantly communicating with you. It's talking about as much to you as I am. This talking, communicating. And to come out of the pose, I encourage you to lift the arm and draw it out underneath, out to the side. That way you can lay on the side, and this has become my new little favorite drill. A little self-massage. Kind of just like giving it to yourself. Massaging your forearm, going towards your wrist, even your hand, your fingers maybe. And then we are heading towards the second side. So as gracefully as you want to make the transition to the other side. I know you're all extremely impressed with my agility. Extend the arm out to the side. Remember, you can have the elbow bent if it feels like a nice option. We'll see how the mic is on this side. Well, not too bad. So get yourself organized. I know it is tempting to want to go straight up into the deepest variation of the pose. Mentally, we're thinking, like the ego is thinking, hey, come on, you can take it deeper. You can go much more deep into the hold. Why are you stopping in this first position? But this is the practice of yin, taking it in stages, never looking for 95 or 100% of your maximum, but more being in a constant level around 60 to 70%. Not so much less, but not much more. Instead, working together with the body, inviting the body to take these positions, these poses, these shapes, using the shape to get into the body, realizing where you're holding tension. Becoming aware of perhaps insights in how you are carrying yourself throughout your days. How much movement are you creating throughout your day? And what is the body telling you right now? Is it good where it is? Does it want a bit less? Or maybe you want to find a bit more intensity in the pose. You can always allow that bottom shoulder to pull a bit kind of more out to the side. Gently adjusting the hold. And you don't have to do exactly what you did on the first side. You can take other variation with the legs. You can use the other arm or not. Keeping the head where you have your body. We have so much more time on one hand right now. We have a lot less obligations, or at least a lot of us have less obligations or less of the regular routine. Everything is kind of changed. Maybe you can use that time to connect to your body in the sense of not just allowing the ego to be calling all the shots. Instead, when does the body need movement? At what time does your body need and want food? Is 12 o'clock your given lunchtime, or maybe earlier, maybe later? How can you create more movement for the body during the days? Taking like little mini breaks, movement breaks, breathing breaks. Finishing up on this side by kind of rolling out from that deep hold of the pose. Lifting the upper body enough so that you can draw the arm out. And giving yourself a little massage on this on this side as well. The wrist, forearm, maybe you can even get towards your shoulder and your bicep and your tricep. Good stuff. And we're getting to the magic part of it all, your Shavasana. But I'm trusting that you can come into your Shavasana without seeing me kind of getting into it. So for your Shavasana, simply come to lay on your back Or if you love to do it on your belly, of course, be on your belly. Maybe you place a blanket on top of you. Most of you know that I love the eye pillows. Maybe you have an eye pillow. Maybe you have a clean sock or something else you can put over your eyes. Allowing your legs to rest with a bit of space in between them. Allowing your eyes to close. Allowing yourself to release all the tension. Take one big deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth and then release all breath control. As you lay in your Shavasana, in this resting pose, notice how your body becomes heavy. Notice all the body parts being in contact with the mat, with the ground. Notice the clothes, the pressure from the clothes on your skin. Notice the air moving in through your nose and out through your nose. Maybe there's a gentle movement in the belly, in the rib cage. Maybe there's a tiny, tiny, tiny hint of a little smile on your face. So you created a bit of movement for your body this evening. Hopefully released a bit of tension. You are in the comfort of your home. Stay for as long as you want. Stay for as long as you need. When you feel that you want to finish your practice, roll to your side. Laying on the side with the eyes closed. And from your side, eventually finding a seated position. Maybe you choose to remain seated for a few minutes to complete your practice. Once you're ready to end your practice, bring your hands together in front of your heart. Bow your head. Thank yourself. Namaste. Maybe I will see you tomorrow for a little quick lunch break desk yoga thing at 11:30 if you are awake by then. Thank you so much for joining. Thank thank you. Thank